minute. Okay, guys, looks like we're on tonight. It's Friday night. We're here at Comics with Bueller, and we got a lot of great stuff to talk about tonight. And you know what? I didn't come alone tonight. I have a special guest. My special guest is Regie Simmons. Regie Simmons, hello.
How you doing? It's good to see you.
It's good to see you. This is actually our first live stream, just one-on-one. I think we were in a group one time on the Comic Core at one time, and that was kind of fun.
Yep. Indeed, it was. That was the longest, I think, live chat ever done. It was like 2 hours or something like that.
You know, those guys tend to go for quite a while, and I'm on there all the time, so I know exactly what it is. But I think I've been on there for over 3 hours one time.
Woo!
So
I was not ready for that. I should have brought coffee.
Yeah, it's nuts. So we already got almost 50 people watching, just like that. It's only been a second, and we are live. So anyway, we got some great topics to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about grading comics, yes or no. And that's one of the main reasons I want to have Regie on the show tonight, because as you can see behind him, he is a proud owner of many graded comics.
I am indeed. I am a fan of the slab, so it should be a good conversation.
He's a fan of the slab. I, on the other hand, there's no graded comics behind me whatsoever. I'm the proud owner of 0 graded comics, thanks to my good old friend Jeff, who you might remember a little bit from the months back there. He kind of broke my CGC, and that was like my only one. So I don't have any. You have a bunch, and we're going to talk about that. But mainly first, let's go ahead and jump into the chat. Let's just kind of see who is in here, because there are a ton of people in here. Alex the BPRD Barbarian Kung Fu, Robert Galvin, of course. How you doing, Robert? Comic Tom 101, that's my buddy Tom. We had a great live stream a couple weeks ago. You're Unruly Simeon, did I get that right? I think I did.
I think
Ed D.
Rap group back in the day.
I think so too. William Warner, hello. Simmons, IFBB Pro, he's in the chat. It's always nice to have him in the chat, you know. Backseat Driver, Comic G-Man, DS Comics, just a ton of people. Buff Muffin, Chewy 13, Sam's Tangled Web, he's my what's it called? Moderator. So Sam's doing the moderating tonight, so thank you, Sam. And John's Comics with Kids is in the chat as well. He's also a moderator, so thank you. Wingnut. It just keeps going. Adam Murray, Malik MP, Marvel Joe 67, Thanatos Comics. You know how jealous he is right now. He's just fuming right now that you're spending time with me. I know he is. Let's see who else is on here. We got I Love Sign Comics. We have Craig Wagner, Cape Mayor 1, Economics and Comics. How you doing? Let's see, Rock Shank, I believe that it is. James Hardy, Martin C, just a ton of people. It's very hard to keep track, to be honest with you, but welcome aboard. Thank you guys for joining us. Hopefully everybody had a great Thanksgiving and ate a lot of food. And I know how I did. Regie, how was your Thanksgiving?
It was pretty good, man. This was, I think our second Thanksgiving spending together as a family. So my little 4-unit, we basically just hunkered down and have had a couple of cool days to spend with each other. So it's been nice.
That's always nice. Nice time with the family. I was very lucky. My son was here this year. He's recently moved back here with me over the last couple of months. Nice. So it was very nice to have him for Thanksgiving. And we ate a ton of food. And I'm still recovering, to be honest with you. So it's going to be a good, by Monday, I might feel a little bit better. But anyway, let me jump to my picks of the week. It's something I normally do on the beginning of these Friday nights. And I have a few different books that I just picked up. And you know what? My comic shop, I'm in transition right now of switching comic shops. And my new comic shop that I'm going to be going to, they didn't get their books. they got lost or something with the fires in California. I'm sure you know you're from California. And, you know, so they just didn't get them. They won't have them until Monday. So I had to go to my old comic shop. And unfortunately, a bunch of stuff was sold out. So I only got a few books.
So wait a minute. Does the old comic shop know that you've broken up with them and they are now like in second position?
Yeah. It's breaking up with the comic shop. I'm not totally broken up with the comic shop, but I'll just be honest with you. It's just something that no fault of their own, but sometimes you just have to, go where a bigger discount and a bigger selection is.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I'm at right now, but I'm still the other shop that I've been going to, I'm still have my box there as well. So I still got a bunch of titles, but
Yeah.
this new one's going to be my main one for new books. And for my older 50 cents or back issues will be my, the old comic shop. So there you go.
Makes sense.
But, anyway, great shop, both the new one and Things from Another World. Look at that selfie. and the older one, the Comics Adventure, two great shops, and Things from Another World is actually owned by Dark Horse Comics.
Oh, check
which is actually right across the street from that shop. So it's very cool.
Wow.
But I got a few books. I got Marvel Knights, and this is number 2. And this is like a 6-part series by Donny Cates and Rosenberg, I believe. I didn't read it yet because I just got it, but the first one was really good. And then I got this is my cover of the week. This is Batman number 59. Look at that one.
It's a nice cover.
Very pretty book. And kind of the one I've been looking forward to reading, but I didn't get a chance to read it yet. It's the Immortal Hulk number 9. I don't know if you've been reading this series, but it's just been great. It's definitely one to pick up right now.
Yep, I am a fan of that series, man. I've been reading it since the start, and I do have that book.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's I was surprised, when I first picked it up, the first couple issues, I didn't get into it, but after like the 3rd or 4th, I really enjoyed it. So it's a good series. But this one I just got done reading. This is Web of Venom, Carnage Born.
How was that?
Yeah. It was pretty good. I don't know if it's a one-shot. I think it's a one-shot, but it says to be continued at the end. Yes. So I don't know if it continues in another series or if I think it's just a one-shot. But I liked the book. I thought it was fun. There's definitely a panel in here that not Venom, but Carnage resembles the Joker like you wouldn't believe.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it has red instead of the green and white, but it looks like a Joker picture. And but I enjoyed it. A very deadly book. A lot of people died, and Carnage dies like 6 or 7 times.
It's Carnage, dude. It's like
yeah.
Thing. I actually picked that book up. Somebody gave me a heads up about that one like a week and a half ago, and I went ahead and ordered them. And I picked up the cover A and the cover B, but I have yet to read it. But I've heard really good things about it.
I think you'll enjoy it. It's by Donny Cates. He's one of my favorite writers right now. He's kind of killing it and stuff. But we got almost 100 people in the chat right now, so I want to say thank you to everyone else who's joined. Captain Canada, Tracy is best, just a bunch of people. Okay, so Reggie, did you pick up any new books this week, like new to the rack?
I did, but I'm not telling you guys about them.
He's not telling him. He's not telling.
So I haven't been live in several days, so I'm trying to hold off. But I did hit up one of my local comic shops. I like to spread the love in the San Francisco area. So I actually hit 3 different comic shops on a regular basis. I have boxes set up at them all. And so I was only able to hit, I like to spread it.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah. So I hit one shop yesterday. He was actually open on Thanksgiving, which was really cool. So I went by and hung out with him. It's a really cool shop. The owner and I get along really well. My goal is to hit maybe another one tomorrow. I was a little lazy today, but I hope to get by and pick up some additional books. But I may be going live either later tonight or tomorrow because, you go live early. I go live at night. It works out really well. But yeah, I'm going to do a haul maybe tonight where I'm actually going to show some new books I picked up and also this massive thing right here. So should be pretty cool.
So if you guys aren't aware, actually, why don't you kind of tell people about your channel, Reggie? Because some of the people in here might not be familiar with you. So take a minute and kind of let us know who, besides the muscles and the workout videos that are from months ago that you can go back and watch on Regie Simmons IFBB Pro, and they're very entertaining.
Yes, they are.
Because if you want to see the guy with his shirt off, it's there. It's there. But kind of fill us in on your recent videos and within the last few months, what you do.
Yeah. So I want to say you and I returned to comics roughly around the same time. So what happened is I have a professional career, but I was also a professional bodybuilder in the IFBB. And when we had our second kid, my wife looked at me and she was like, maybe it's time for you to right? And to stop doing this, because bodybuilding is a very selfish sport. It's about my food, my workouts, my cardio, my this, my that. And that's just not conducive always to like having a family. And so she, being the smart woman that she is, decided she was going to buy me a Christmas present. And she ended up giving it to me early. What she did was she went out and bought a massive comic book collection. And what led up to that was she was encouraging me to, get back into comics. And so she kind of pushed me in that direction, bought me a massive collection over the holidays and was like, here you go. And so I've like jumped back into it. Like I'm one of those guys that either I'm in or I'm out. And so I jumped back into comics big time last November. And I've been doing all kinds of videos on my channel. And my thing is, just like me, my channel is diverse. So I do things from like trivia night, which is really fun, all the way to spec videos, to tips for shipping comics across the country. I cover a diverse set of topics. Like right now, I'm really doing one where I'm looking at the overall health of the comic book market, because some people are speculating that there's a crash coming. Okay, well, let's talk about that, right? And getting to the topic at hand, slabs. Do you slab? Do you not slab? Why should you slab? Why should you not? That's a topic that I've explored extensively on my channel, just because I don't think that there's any one way to do anything, right? That there is a spectrum. And I think that what's great about this hobby is that we can all decide how we want to collect and what that looks like for us. And however you choose to do it, in my mind, that's okay, right? And I think just like your channel, we try to keep it extremely positive on mine, right? The life is hard enough, right? and for me, this should be fun. And I always say, it's comics. Let's have fun. So if you check out my content, what you're going to see is diverse content, always positive, always positive. So there you go.
So there's some videos on, and your link is down below in the description for everybody who wants to check out Reggie's channel. The link is down there, and also the link is down there from the two moderators as well. Feel free to check their channels out also. But a lot of the videos I like on yours, and there's ones that I really enjoy, are the ones that I learn something from. And some of the videos you do, like and we've talked about this one when you put these out, the terms for the comic book lingo, and we conversated about these, and I learned some stuff from you. I threw some stuff your direction, but those type of videos I really enjoy, because there's a lot of new people to the comic book community that don't know what this stuff is, and I didn't know what the stuff was on the lists, and it helped me out. So I believe you probably have those on a playlist, and it's probably one of my favorite playlists of yours. So if anyone has the time, go check those out, because you're going to learn stuff that you didn't know about comics. And it's been a while since you've done those. Have you thought about doing another one?
I have, I've been debating it. And what happens with me is I'll get on this kick where I'll do like a series of videos that form like an arc, where I look at a topic from multiple perspectives. And I think I did 4 or 5 of those lingo videos. And it's getting to the point where I think I need to revisit that, because there's some new terms that I've heard, some questions like A-OK. Somebody the other day said to me that they didn't know what A-OK was. And it was like, you know what? It may be time to do another video where we break down this terminology. But the lingo videos came out of the fact that I had taken a long hiatus from comics. And when I came back, I was like, what the heck is a slab? What is a key? Like, I didn't know any of that stuff. So my mindset was, how can I help someone else like me that is new to comics or newly returning to comics? How can I get them up to speed? And that's where that video series came from.
So that's a perfect segue to what we're talking about here, because the terms I wasn't familiar with was a slab when I started collecting again, which is something that I just started collecting again just last year, to be honest with you. But before we get going, I got a super chat from Robert Galvin. Says, you gentlemen are awesome. Very nice to see you both. Of your assist to the community. So I just want to say thank you to Robert Galvin for the super chat. And I know that all you guys have done super chat, and I put the names on the back of my vest, and my vest is filling up. And that money that is gone to the super chat helps out the channel. I'll give you an example, and it's not hooked up yet, but I just purchased a brand new webcam, nice 1080p, and that's from the money that you guys have gifted me, and it's going back into the channel so that I can make it look better and sound better and the lighting better. I mean, you guys are probably going to see me in better picture quality. I don't know if that's a good thing, to be honest with you, but but that's what it's for. So I really appreciate that, Robert. Thank you. And look at that, we got another super chat from none other than the other Regie Simmons. The other Regie Simmons. This show is going to be epic.
As Bake the Snake just pointed out, that Reggie uses 2 G's.
I know he does. I remember it. I think I sent you a picture. I go, did you just resubscribe to me? I go, wait, that's a different Reggie. But and you're like, yeah, he subscribed to me too. And I was like, that's so cool.
that has happened to me all my life. Back in elementary, I was like dating this girl, and her brother's name was Reggie, right? So 2 G's. And most recently, I actually worked with a guy, exact same name, same fraternity, right? The only difference was middle initial. We were basically roughly the same age as well. It was very freaky, very freaky.
Apparently, it's a common name. There's only one other guy named Bueller that I know, and he's a lot more famous than I am, so that's all right. So anyway, let's get to our topic. This getting comics graded, yes or no. Like I said before, Reggie has a lot of books graded. You can see that great wall right behind him. I, on the other hand, have not turned that corner to get comics graded. So I want to start with you, Reggie. Why? You said you got back into in the comics. When did you get your first graded book?
Oh man, I want to say I was back in the comics maybe for a month or so before I actually pulled the trigger on a slab. And I don't even remember what slab it was. It probably was not an expensive book, just because back then I was still trying to wrap my mind also, not just around the terminology, but the prices for comics, right?
So you bought it slabbed already?
I bought it slabs. Yep.
Okay.
That was my first foray, because I wanted to at least like see it and experience it and like check it out. So I bought one off of eBay. And
okay.
It wasn't until I think February that I actually got my membership to CGC.
Okay. So how'd you feel when you first got the one? Because I've had 2 slab books, and I actually did the same thing you did. I was like, I want to see what the big deal is. I don't have any. I've never had any.
Yep.
And I want to see it, and I want to hold it and have one. And
Yep.
so I bought like a really cheap one on eBay for like $20 just to see what it is. I didn't really even care about the grade. And actually, this is the book right here. It's not slabbed anymore. But what do you think when you first got it? What was your thoughts?
So for me, I thought it was cool, right? I think that the book actually looked better in the slab. But I think for me, one of the biggest things that getting a book slabbed, right, and buying one, was the protection that it offers. For me, that's like the big thing is I'm always concerned about damage to a comic, right? And that happens when I was a kid and accidentally dropped the book, all the way through adulthood, where I have kids and they don't understand that they can damage it. What the slab offers in me is protection for something that I probably spend good money on, or at least want to preserve. So
when you got it, was there anything like did the originality of the book kind of fade? Because it's when it comes back to you, it's a piece of plastic now.
Yeah.
You don't, there is a comic book smell. We all know that smell.
Yeah.
Obviously can't open it and hold it and stuff like that. So it's a piece of plastic. Did that bother you at all?
Well, I mean, so the nostalgic of smell, right? Because smell, it brings back memories, right? Like I can go into a certain comic shops and I can go back to my childhood instantly when I walk in the door, just from the smell of the paper in the air. The big thing now is if you walk into many comic shops now, they don't even have back issues. They only have new comics, and new comics have no smell at all, So the fact that the book was encapsulated in plastic, did it take away something? It did, but I don't know that that wasn't offset by the peace of mind that came with the slab, and the problem was, or here in my mind, I think by having a book slabbed, it actually gives me more ability to experience the book without fear, right? If the book is just a raw book, right? Raw book, it bends, it can easily get damaged, the box can fall, right? If you have a slab, you at least have a fighting chance of that book not getting jacked up. And so for me, I think that the benefit of a slab outweighs the negative of a slab, and yeah, you can't crack it open, but I have limited, so I can always jump online and read the book to my heart's content.
Let me pose a hypothetical thing for you.
Yeah.
If money was not an object, okay, and you have a collection of books, would you slab every one of your books?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely. What would be the point where you'd say yes and no, depending on the book?
Yeah, so on my channel, I actually just set up a playlist today where I actually call it Comics with Bueller playlist. And what I did is I anticipated some of this stuff. So I put a bunch of my old videos in there, right? So people can always go read that stuff. But I don't believe in slabbing every comic, right? I think that slabbing books is great because it gives you peace of mind. It preserves the comics. It gives you protection. It offers you something, but not every book should be slabbed, right? Like if you look to my left over here, I have, I don't know, probably 12 short boxes. I only have 4 boxes of slab books. I have a lot more unslabbed books than I have slab books, and that's okay for me, right? Because I just don't feel like every book automatically gets slabs. And if you want to break it down, like for example, there is cost associated with slabbing a book.
Sure.
And so in my mind, I'm always trying to balance that. What is the value of the book versus the cost of getting the book slabbed, right? Because there is some math involved in that. And so oftentimes you don't even see me slab modern books at all, just because so much fluctuation in the value of a modern book that it doesn't, in my mind, warrant slabbing it right away. Because I don't flip books. I buy most books because I'm trying to keep those books in my collection long term, right? And so because of that, I'm more concerned about what is the value of this book, how much am I going to spend to get it slabbed, how bad do I really want to protect it? And sometimes I slab books not because of value, but because of sentimental reasons, right? So early books from my childhood, I got those slabbed and they came back at 6s and 5s or whatever, and it didn't matter because they were from my childhood. You know what I'm saying? But no, I don't think every book should be slabbed. You have to draw the line in the sand someplace.
The one thing, and I will just say this, when I got the slabs and stuff and I checked them out, and personally, I just, they didn't do anything for me. It didn't like excite me like, oh, I can't wait for the next one. And that's kind of how I look at it. It's like, I got it. I tried it out. Okay. It is what it is and stuff. And for me, and like you just said, you're not flipping books. Okay. And for me, since I'm not flipping books as well, for me, I like the simple fact that a bag and board costs 10 cents.
Yep. And
I put them in there, and you do run the risk of, them possibly getting damaged and stuff like that because they're not slabbed. But we find books all the time in the raw that are just been around for 40 years.
Yep.
And you know what, they look good.
Yep.
So when I got my first book back, I was like, you know what, this isn't gonna be my thing. And I looked a little bit more into it, and then I started looking at the prices of stuff. And just the prices, and not only the selling prices of these books, and just the increase in value that slab books compared to raw books. And is that something that I want to get into? And honestly, it just priced me out of it.
Yeah.
I would just look at it and go, wow, here's a raw copy of a book. It says near mint, it looks really good. It sells for $100. Okay. Yep. You look up a CGC, and we're going to use CGC for most of this because let's be honest, they are the standard bearer in the industry right now. And a 9.8 of the same book will sell for $600 to $700.
Yep.
Now that prices me out right there. I'm done. I can't justify spending that type of money on a slab book. especially if it's just going to sit in my collection and I don't intend to turn it or make some value onto it. Do you ever get worried that, like, you have all those slabs behind you, okay?
Mhm.
And did you buy majority of those slabbed, or did you get those slabbed?
A lot of them, I would have to turn around. Let me check. So the couple of them actually were picked up raw, right? Some of them were picked up raw, like the New Mutants is from my childhood. The 6.5 ASM, I'm sorry, Amazing Spider-Man 129, I actually bought that slabbed. So a lot of these were picked up slabbed, which brings me to another point. One of the things, and it's along the line of like peace of mind.
Mm-hmm.
If you buy a book raw, you are, especially if you're buying from eBay, you are taking a risk, right?
Sure.
And the question becomes, how much risk do you want to take, especially if you're talking about decent sums of money, right? So for example, how would you spend, and I'm making this up, $700 on ASM 300 raw? Or would you spend roughly that same amount of money for a slabbed book? And the reason I ask that is because you are taking a risk.
Sure.
The raw book hasn't been touched, right? And that everyone in the community, the larger community, is on, right? So I'll pose that question to you. Would you spend $700, $600 raw or graded?
I actually did some research on this book on AS just for this show. So ASM 300 right now, okay, for a near mint copy raw, you can pick them up on eBay between $500 to $600, and that's just, you're taking a risk. You don't know what that grade will be.
Yep.
But I tried to find the best near mint. I looked at them. Now, a 9.8 grade of that book. If you were to take that book that you just spent $500 on, send that in, and if you hit the jackpot, and let's say you get a 9.8, selling price of that book for CGC are $2,600.
Crazy. Yeah.
Is it worth taking the step if that's what you're trying to do, to invest in these books? I think it is. I think it's definitely a good thing to do, but you never know what you're going to get. You don't know if it's going to come back a 9.4, or if it's going to come back. Of course, Reggie got one right there.
What you get, brother, is right here. Okay. So
I'll break out my True Believers version of 300
right.
to show you.
So I rolled the dice on that very thing, right? I went out and I bought from what I thought was a reputable seller on eBay, Amazing Spider-Man 300. And I got the book. I looked at it, thought the book looked great, sent it off to CGC. It came back restored. Somebody had actually done some color touch on this book. I bought it raw. I didn't thankfully know it at the time, but I was planning on taking this book to see Stan Lee, right? And had this book not been at CGC, I would have taken it to Stan Lee and had it signed and had it come back restored. What I ended up doing, because this book was away, was I ended up buying that book right there. Where is it? Right there. Bought that one right there. And I bought that one slabbed. And I had them crack the slab. I had Stan Lee, Todd McFarlane, and the inker, I believe, all signed that book, triple signed book, and it came back 9.6. So again, for peace of mind, that was a better buy, even though it cost me more money versus this. And it's peace of mind because did the seller know? I don't think so. Because I ended up, unbeknown to me, buying something from that seller like months later. And I asked him the question. I was like, dude, you sold me a book that was color touch. Like, what's up? And the guy actually sent me text messages on my phone apologizing for the mistake. Like, it wasn't even him. Because books change hands, there is always that risk,
So let me, you show that it's the restored label. So I'm curious about the restored label. Do they tell you where the touch up is, or do they specify what page or anything like that?
Yeah, right on the label it says restoration includes small amount of color touch on cover.
Okay.
And I honestly, with my naked eye, could not see it. Now, had I been buying this book in person, right, then now I know what to look for. You flip the inside cover over and you try to look for, is there bleed through on the inside cover. But I bought this on the internet, you know, and I bought it at a time where I wasn't as experienced as maybe I am now. And it cost me. I'm actually about to move this book on to someone else as we speak. Someone that doesn't mind the fact that it's been color touched. But
oh, thanks, Reggie. I appreciate that.
That was a good try, though, brother.
Yeah, I know.
but here's the thing: is that it is it more expensive? Yes, but there's a certain amount of peace of mind that comes with buying a book that's already slabbed, especially if you are spending large sums of money. You know, but I have 299 and 298 and 301 that are still raw, right? I still don't have those slabs because those books are a different caliber than what you're talking about right here, you know?
So I would say, obviously, the positives of getting something graded. Okay. And let's just say you got something back a good grade. My main thing would be the preservation of the book. I like that. I like the simple fact if it's a, an older book, a golden age book or something like that, or even something with an autograph of, say, a Stan Lee or a Todd McFarlane or whoever, really, and something special, I would definitely go ahead and get that graded. Now, when I say graded, as far as doing that and have it preserved, there's other methods that you can do to have something preserved. Does the grade mean a lot to you, or just the fact that you can have it, encapsulated so it doesn't get damaged? Because there's self-encapsulating things that you can do.
Yeah.
But have you ever done any of that yourself? I haven't done, but for me, I would probably go that route because the grade doesn't excite me too much, and I'm always low grade anyway.
Yeah.
But just something so it's preserved. I mean, have you ever looked into doing it yourself?
Do you have insurance on your collection? And I know that's a personal question, but we're having a debate discussion, right?
I do not have insurance. It's not covered my homeowner's insurance, and I need to do that. So
right. So the reason I ask is because by having the books slabs and encapsulated and graded, it's easier in my mind to determine the value of my collection to be for the purpose of insurance. If nothing else, right? By having them graded and slab, it gives me peace of mind and protection. And what I mean by protection in this case is insurance, right? Because it becomes this question of, if you look at this Amazing Spider-Man, which is still raw, right? The question becomes, what grade is this book, right? And there are wildfires right now in the state of California, both south and north, right? Our air quality has been incredibly horrible. And we have small children, right? You better believe that if something comes this way, my wife and I are jumping in the car with kids and not comics. This stuff can burn, right? But on the backside, I'm going to be like, I have the money to rebuild my collection, right? And so I would have a tough time explaining to any insurance company why this book is worth what it's worth, because there's no grade. There's maybe even no photos, right? So one of the things I've been doing is encapsulating my expensive books and cataloging them for the purpose of insurance and protection on the backside.
Well, there's definitely videos of these books, Reggie, so I think you're all right.
Brother, there's a video for everything. So here's your question. I actually did look at the comic scan, because one of the things that I was asking myself early on was, I was asking myself this: does every book need to be encapsulated by CGC with the cost associated with it, versus doing like a comic scan or something like that? And I looked into it, but I haven't jumped in with both feet, because one of the things that you brought up earlier was the smell of comics, right? It's my understanding, and maybe somebody in the chat can correct me, the smell of comics is actually the comic decomposing, right? It is the breakdown of the paper, right? And one of the things that when you encapsulate these books behind me, they put in there a microfiber that actually helps to pull away and expel some of those harmful gases that potentially break down the comic. I don't know if Comic Scan offers those microfibers, but I think you can actually buy them. I think you can buy them and insert them for the purpose of protection. But no, I haven't looked at that, because it goes back to my earlier comments about the grade for the purpose of insurance is helpful, you know? And to that point though, I think things like this, my lights are great. There is nothing, the vast majority of my collection is in regular bags and boards. Then I have a step up from that that's in like the Mind Light, right? And then I have a step up from that, which is the slab books.
Yeah. So William Warner just said a CGC, PGX, or CBCS. So I want to get in that a little bit, but let's kind of, I did some research on the cost because I had a lot of people ask me, like, I've never had a CGC book, or I've never had a book graded. I don't know what to do or what the cost is. And I did a rundown. And so PGX cost for a modern book is $13 to get it slabbed. That's for 1978 on up books. Standard is $20. That's from 1978 on down. Their turnaround time is about 30 days. And there is a $5 option to get it within 10 days. So that's PGX. That's actually a local grading company here in Oregon. It's actually just right down the freeway from me. And, I know that I don't have any grading, but I know a little bit of PGX knowledge myself. And a lot of people always say, oh, well, if you don't know about it, then you shouldn't talk about it. Well, I do know about it. And they're not actually one I would prefer using, because I happen to know that's run out of the guy's house. And then the next one is CBCS. They have a modern is for $16. That's from 1975 on up. Standard is for $27, 75 on down. Their wait time right now is 15 to 20 weeks, which is just ridiculous. I mean, that's like almost half a year almost. And then CGC, which is the main one that most people use. And you might be able to talk on this because I noticed they have a lot of different tiers in their one, but their modern one is $20 and their economy one is $38. And they got anywhere from a 22-day waiting period to a 51-day waiting period. And you can pay an extra $10 for a fast track. But from what I understand, and I know my local comic shop is I don't know if the word is vendor or something, or sign up with them to where that you can take it into the shop and they'll mail it and take care of it for you.
Yeah.
But you have to sign up for some of these places. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think that both CBCS and also CGC both have memberships that have to be purchased. And I think I was debating this early on when I was trying to decide which one I wanted to go with. I was looking at all three of them, doing a ton of research because I'm a big fan of that, right?
Sure.
Do your research, make your mind up for yourself. And I was debating between the two because I think that they each have some pros and cons. None of them are perfect, right? And for me, it came down to CBCS and CGC. And I was leaning towards CBCS because they have signature verification, which is really cool. And CGC didn't have that. At the time, CBCS didn't even have a membership, but then they put the membership in place. So I ended up going with CGC. Don't regret it. I spent for the membership $150 or $149, and then they give you a $149 credit back. So it's basically a wash in my mind. But I don't know about PGX. I've never done business with them. I never really looked into them.
That's a good choice. I'm sorry. I mean, people have asked me my opinion, and I've never really given it. I will give my opinion off air to people because it is a business and it is, somebody's livelihood or whatnot. But, I've living in Oregon and knowing firsthand because I deal with the people who deal with them.
Yeah.
There's some information that's not very flattering type thing. So I just kind of stay away. But anyway, I'm sorry. You got me going there.
So basically, there's a couple of different levels of membership with CGC. There's a free one. There's an associate. There's whatever the next level up is. Well, there's two more levels. I didn't go with like the dealer level. I can't remember the exact price on that one, but it's a little bit more expensive. And supposedly there's some additional perks that you can get with the higher level membership. But I've never really looked into them enough to know what those perks are. But I think it's like platinum or something like that. And it works pretty well for me. But the turnaround times with them can be a challenge, right?
Okay.
Because you're looking at business days, not actual days.
Sure.
If you get a book pressed, there's a certain amount of time that it takes to get the book pressed, and once it's done pressing, then the clock starts ticking on the grading. And so when I did the math once before, I mean, it can add up to well over 100 days to get a book pressed and graded, depending upon the package that you pick. And it is also expensive. Like literally last night I was sitting here and I keyed in ASM 1, Daredevil 1, X-Men 2, and one other book. And it was like almost $600 to get those books cleaned and graded. It's expensive. It really is. And
all those books are in your collection, I presume, correct?
Yeah. Did you want to see them?
No, I don't want to see them again.
I can pull them out. I mean,
yes. You're gonna make me cry. I'm gonna look at my posters behind me and just dream.
No, brother, I definitely consider myself fortunate to have the collection that I have. Because to be honest with you, when I started collecting again back in November of last year, I only had 2 of these books on my wall, and they were 2 from my childhood.
Yeah.
You know, and so I have been able over this last year to put together a pretty solid collection and also learn a lot about collecting over this last year.
Hey, we got another super chat from Economics and Comics. Says, Reggie, this is great. Have you ever thought about doing talk radio? You have the voice. He says, and Bueller, I love you. My 2 cents, grading is for either investing or protecting. I actually agree with that statement very much. I think that's exactly the reason that if you are going to get a book graded, it's for investment purposes, because obviously the value of the book skyrockets when it's graded, especially a good grade, and protection of the book so it doesn't get damaged. But you were talking, I was curious about this. So you have to pay for the shipping, right? You pay for the shipping there.
Yeah.
And is the cost of the book, is the shipping covered on the way back?
No. So you pay for shipping to and from.
Oh.
And when it comes back, you have the ability to decide what method of shipping you want, whether it's FedEx, UPS, or United States Postal Service. You can decide, unless you're in the state of California, because in the state of California, they don't allow you to use FedEx anymore. So you can ship FedEx, but CGC will not return a book to you via FedEx. Now, one important thing, this is a lesson that I learned the hard way. When you send in comics to CGC, there's different tiers, right? So there's like a modern tier, for example, there's an economy tier, right? There are different tiers depending upon the age of the book and the value of the book. And each one of those tiers has a different turnaround time associated with it.
Yeah.
And so if you send in, for example, this book right here, this is Hulk number 8, and you send in Amazing Spider-Man number 1, these books will be on 2 different tiers. And because they're on 2 different tiers, they will be shipped back in 2 separate packages. And there is a cost for shipping the 2 different packages back to you. So if you send all of your books on one invoice, they are coming back in separate times, in separate shipments. So your shipping goes up by times 2. So that's just something to be aware of.
So basically, when you do your books, you want to group them around, like as far as value of the books themselves, because I know the tiers that they take a percentage of the value of the book depending on how valuable the book is. Correct?
Correct. If it's a really expensive book, yes, there is. I think it's like 1% of the value or something like that. But yeah, what I will do is I may ship 1 box to them. But inside that box, I will either only put 1 tier of books, so like all Silver Age books together, or it'll be all modern books together, or I will send 1 box on 2 separate invoices so that I know that, yes, I'm going to incur costs 2 times for return shipping. You know what I'm saying? And just keep in mind, I think a max invoice, i.e. box, can only contain up to, I think it's 25 books, I want to say.
Yeah.
So just know that if you send 26 books to CGC, that's going to be 2 shipments. It's going to be 25 in one and 1 in the other. So these are just things to be aware of.
I had a friend of mine. He sent in a bunch of books. He got this Action Comics number 1. This was these reprints, and they were like part of this box or whatnot, one of those subscription boxes, Loot Crate or something like that.
Yeah.
And so he for some reason he ordered like 100 of them. Okay, and he got 100 copies of this Action Comics #1,
Wow.
and he sent them all into CGC to get graded. Every one of them. He sells them on eBay. He sells them all the time. He paid very little for them, but those books came in bags, sealed bags. You know what I'm talking about, like the old ones from the 90s.
Yep.
Apparently, CGC does not like that.
No, they do not.
They want you to take them out of those bags, and especially him, because he sent like 100 of them at once, type thing. So apparently, you're supposed to take them out of those bags, not the bag and boards that we put them in, but the bags that they're manufactured and put it in and sent out in.
Yep.
Have you had that come up? Did you send in a one like that before?
No, because I've never sent any poly bagged books before. So I was just showing there a second ago the like the Midnight Sun story arc from the 90s. I actually had a copy from my childhood and bought another set because I wanted the complete set. But Thanatos is probably in the room. He knows that X-Force 1 comes in a poly bag. But yeah, and same thing with like Superman. You have to remove the book from the poly bag before sending it in. They don't care for that. And they also anything you ship them in, like if you ship them in a My Life or a top loader, they actually throw that stuff away. They don't send any of that stuff back to you.
There's a comment in here by the Wolverine Collector, says Bueller is effing the system by stealing his neighbor's internet. I wonder if that's my neighbor. Oh, they're on to me.
You are busted.
That's all right.
Do they not have passwords in the Great Pacific Northwest?
No, it's so Xfinity, that's the internet. Okay, so all of Xfinity's routers or whatnot, they all have hotspots, a secondary hotspot to them. Yeah. But if you have an Xfinity login, you can use the login and use that thing. Well, I just so happen to have a login that's my parents' login because they don't know what it is because I set it up for them. So one of my neighbors has internet, and there's a open Xfinity login, and as long as I have that password, I can sign in, and that's pretty much what I've been doing for the last 4 or 5 years.
So let's revisit this. You were stripped from your parents and from your neighbor.
Why you gotta put it like that, man? You're just killing me. You're throwing me under the bus. Hey, without that, I couldn't be doing YouTube. So there's a positive. There's a positive.
Your neighbor is probably over there like, why are we getting these messages saying we've used 90% of our allowance for the month?
Yeah, especially when I download this 100 gigabyte games for the Xbox and stuff. Like when there was like a game, Red Dead Redemption 2 was like 100 gigabytes, and I downloaded it. I'm like, oh man, they're gonna kill me. But I'm always really nice to my neighbors, so hopefully, I don't know. Hopefully, it's all good,
brother. You should be.
Yeah.
I just got that message the other day. I get it almost every month. My wife looks at me and she's like, "Can you stop uploading videos?" And I'm like, "But the people need their content, babe."
Yeah. Well, I'm getting my own internet very soon. I just have to. I mean, that's just the bottom line. It's something I need to do, something more reliable. It's stuff like getting a new webcam, getting my own internet, getting better lighting. Those are all on my list, and that's going to happen very soon.
I'm actually going to buy a new light for myself. I think for Christmas, I'm going to get a new LED light in here. So, but yeah, it's this thing, man. I'm constantly reinvesting in your in the channel, right? And to constantly bring people new content. You've definitely been doing that over this last year,
I appreciate that.
Yeah, man, you're killing the game over there, brother. But yeah, so I mean, the thing is with all of this stuff, right? Regardless of which one of these third-party grading companies you go with, I think you have to do your research and be aware of the ins and outs because none of them are perfect, And one of the things that I've been talking a lot about on my channel as of late is, is there a need for some additional competition in the marketplace, right? Is there room for another grading company to enter into the market? And I think that the answer might be yes. And the question becomes, how do they do it? Because PGX, CBCS, CGC, none of them are perfect. They all offer some services and features that are slightly different from one another. And the question becomes, where is there room for?
Did you see that? Did you see that?
Yes, I saw.
William Warner, $4.99 super chat for Bueller's Internet Fund.
I normally can maintain through, but but yeah, so there is I think there's definitely a point of entry, right? Because you talked about like turnaround time, which I think is important.
Yep.
Customer service is important. A good slab, right? And I think that there is room in the market for another company to enter the market because, you know, there is some unmet need in the market, you know? Let me ask you, so you're part of what I'm hearing from you, and maybe you can provide me additional context. Big Wheel, look at Big Wheel coming in, is the fact that it sounds like you want protection, but you still want to be able to access your book. Is that what I'm hearing the hesitation for you is?
I think that's a solid case. I think it's the protection is wanted. Like I have a book, Spider-Man 129. It's autographed now by the Gary Conway, and it was a gift, and it was something special. And I've debated. I've looked at it and said, you know what? Do I get this graded? Do I get it preserved? And on one hand, it's not in the best shape, you know, and stuff book. So I don't consider it getting a very high grade by any means.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I just love to hold the book, you know. I mean, not, you know, lay it down and kind of flip through it, you know, and I love that. That's my childhood.
Do you
that's
your face?
Not when the lights are on. Come on. Why you gotta do that to me? You just outed me.
Brother, the way you're talking over there, I'm just like, I gotta ask the question.
But you know what I mean? It's kind of the thing. It's like I sat there like the other day and I grabbed it and you know, I opened it up and kind of put it on the table and kind of just flipped through it, you know, type thing. And I don't know if I can say goodbye to that. You know, it's a great book. It's got value. It's got everything you could want in a book. It's got emotional value. It's got you know, monetary value. It's a key issue. And so it qualifies for every reason why you'd want to get it graded. But on the other hand, I'm not going to be able to, you know, flip through it and kind of enjoy type thing. So it's a trade-off, and I'm on the fence. You know, before I was totally against grading. It's like, oh, I'm not going to get graded. I don't like it. It's not my thing. I'm old school or whatnot. I'm open to new things. I think as time has gone on and as I've educated myself more this year about the grading process, I'm looking at it a different way. But I want to say thanks to Big Will for a super chat here and a $10 super chat. In defense of CBCS, they did move a whole facility this year, and they verify signatures. That's extremely valuable. They do. I like that about the CBCS, that they will do the signature verification, and CGC does not do that. Is that correct?
CGC will not. And what CGC will actually do is they will give you, on those types of books, green labels. And basically, this is a qualified grade. And what they write here is name written on cover in marker. Now, the name written, I don't know if you can see that.
I have that same one, dude. I have that same one.
Yeah.
And mine's better than yours.
There are 3 million other copies of this same book floating out there in the world.
No, mine's special. Mine has sentimental value, more so than probably anyone else's.
How so? Explain that.
My copy of that book, which is autographed because his wife was my high school history teacher.
Oh, that's right.
And he used to come to our school before he was, quote, famous. And used to do art classes for us after school if we wanted to show up. And there'd be literally like 4 or 5 kids would show up for Todd McFarlane, and he'd show us how to draw Spider-Man. So my copy has a little bit more sentimental value than that one. Yeah, maybe, I don't know. Maybe you guys had dinner together and you're just not sharing that until another video or something like that.
This one, brother, remember the collection I said my wife bought me from someone? This was part of the collection she picked up from me. Okay. But this is essentially how CGC will treat a book that has an autograph regardless of who the signer is. They just give it a green label. And thankfully, this is a 9.8. So,
Yeah.
it is what it is.
So why doesn't, well, you might not know this, but why doesn't CGC offer that? I mean, other places are doing it. Are they just like, don't want to take the chance to verify something and have it not be it? Is that kind of why they're holding off? That's the only thing I can think of.
That in my mind, as I've thought about it, that's the only thing I can think of is risk. You are assuming a certain amount of risk when you are saying, yes, that is that person's signature. And I think the way that CGC chooses to deal with that risk is they mitigate it through having a witness stand there while the book is being signed, right? But I've heard,
and that costs money too.
And that costs money too. Yes. But that's how they mitigate that risk, is that they actually have someone that witnesses Stan Lee or Jerry Conway physically sign that book, and it goes from their hand back to CGC, where they then take control of the book, and then it goes through the grading process. Signature verification, I guess, in CGC's mind, is risky. And again, I think that that's one of the big differentiators between CBCS and CGC is the signature verification.
I think William Warner says PGX verifies signatures as well. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they do. I think saw that on their website as well.
Yep.
I wanted to ask you something about, you said that you got your books pressed and cleaned.
Yeah.
Is that something that you recommend doing when you get a book graded?
I have learned the hard way that you absolutely do that.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So when I sent in like my first round of books, again, this was like, this is firsthand stuff that I'm experiencing, right?
Sure.
I struggled to understand the value of an increased $9 or whatever it was to get $8 to get a book pressed and clean.
Mm-hmm.
And so I decided not to, and I sent in my first group of books, and the books came back at a mid-grade. And as I read the notes, what the notes said were books soiled on backside, fingerprint on cover, right?
Mm-hmm.
And minor dings seen here or there. And what I realized is that a press and clean could actually remove those imperfections and allow me to have a higher grade. Let's say that I die tomorrow. Let's just say, heaven forbid that I pass away. If my family comes into my room, this comic book room, which I've been fortunate enough, is this corner that my wife has given me, right? They will have no doubt what books are expensive in this room and which books aren't.
Well, I can pretty much tell you by looking behind you. What are you talking about, dude? They're sitting on the wall.
But if they were raw, a book looks like any other book to someone that is not, in this hobby, right? Or they would have to look up each one, right? The fact that the books are slab gives them some indication of what value is. And if they need to sell them for whatever reason, they have a value attached to it because those books are graded. And that's a super morbid thought, but it is another factor of preservation, so.
I was reading in here, James Hardy said that CGC also has certain people locked into contracts for them, certain artists and creators that will only sign their books. I don't know if CGC is the only one that does that. That might be something that I don't think PGX does, but maybe CBCS does. I'm not sure, but I know CGC does. And you know what? I get that. If it's almost like an endorsement deal type thing for them, so I see where the value of that is.
Explain that, because I don't know much about that, to be honest with you. How does that work?
I don't know exactly for sure, to be honest with you. I just know that like Rob Liefeld had a certain deal to where he would only sign books for like a certain grading company or something like that, and or a certain witness. It must be a witness. It must, what I'm saying?
Okay.
So it's obviously he's not signing a book that's already graded. That doesn't make any sense. Nobody wants him to sign a piece of plastic and stuff.
Even though I did see a Stan Lee signed plastic the other day.
Oh, well, I'd take anything signed Stan Lee. You signed a piece of toilet paper for me, and I think that was the most precious thing in the world.
Here's the thing. Can you crack the case and just stick another book in there and have the value automatically increase because the Stan signature's on the plastic? You know what I'm saying?
Can you get a CGC slab graded at CGC, regraded, a double grade? Just send them in one of their own slabs.
It's called
say, here, grade this for me.
It's a double holder.
There you go.
They encapsulate the encapsulation, you know?
Well, this has been a good conversation, man. I mean, I think we covered a lot of stuff. We've been going for a while. And, you know, I think that, I don't know if we changed anybody's mind, to be honest with you.
Hey, let me answer this one question for
Yeah.
Brandon. Brandon is asking a question here of CGC does a good job of pressing and cleaning. So that's a part that we just started to touch on. So CGC offers two types of pressings. They offer a quick press and they offer a more thorough press. The quick press is like $8 and it will remove most dents and imperfections, and a more thorough press is much more involved. They may run it through the press a couple of times in order to ensure that they've removed it. Honestly, what I need to do myself is I actually need to do some research on this fact of someone said to me the other day that CGC does not clean books. And I don't know that to be true, so I need to look into that myself because that comment caught me off guard. Because I always say clean and press because in my mind, they go hand in hand.
Yeah.
But the reason that I prefer to have CGC do it is for many of the things that I've talked about today. Most pressers require you to send the book to them, which means I have to bundle my books up, send them to the presser via the mail, UPS, FedEx, whatever I want to use. They have to do their thing. Then they have to send them back to me.
Yeah.
And I send them again to CGC. To me, that's just risky.
Yeah.
I prefer to bundle them up one time, send them off to someone, clean, press, and then physically carry them to the place that they get graded. To me, that's peace of mind.
Yeah. I think that, you know, as far as pressing and cleaning, obviously I would only use the people that you're getting your book graded by. Okay. Now, if you're just getting a book pressed and cleaned and that's it,
yes,
then use another party, you know. But if the people already offer the service, just like you're saying, why ship it two different places to get the same thing done? So I like a friend of mine who's on the Comic Corps with me. He's Midwest Comics. He does pressing and cleanings and stuff, and he does a really good job from what I've been told. I haven't used it, but I've been told he does very well. But that would be something I would be, if I wanted my book to look better just the way it is, I'd send it to him, have him clean it, have him press it, and then have it send it back to me. And I wouldn't get it graded. I just keep it. But obviously, if I'm getting something graded, I would say, okay, grade it, press it, clean it, then send it back to me and save some money in the meantime.
Yep. And then there's another question from Brandon, follow-up question. Brother, if you need to reach me, just reach me on my channel too, because you have a lot of questions and I want to try to answer them. They do not insure the books. That's, again, part of the reason why earlier I was talking about insurance for my collection. I use Comic Insure, and I have a video on my channel that talks about insurance and protection. Comic Insure actually protects any comic that you own. So even if the comic has been purchased by you and is being mailed to you, or you own it and you are mailing it elsewhere, your insurance from Collectibles Insure actually protects you. So I actually don't buy extra insurance from FedEx, UPS because I already have it. And again, it goes back to, for me, peace of mind. So,
the gentleman I was talking to earlier, the Midwest Comics does press and cleaning. He does have insurance on the books that he does. He's like one of the only ones that actually has insurance from the day it hits his doorstep to the day it leaves. It's covered on insurance, and he makes a point of that because it's a nice thing to have. Because obviously, if you're pressing a Amazing Fantasy 15, and mistakes can be made, things can happen, and Lord forbid something like that happened to a book like that, and you're out all that money and all that peace of mind. So there is a way to get insurance, but from what he's told me, there's not very many places that have that insurance from the day it hits their doorstep to the day it leaves. So that's kind of cool.
Yep, agreed. Peace of mind, man. Peace of mind.
So what's your next book that you're going to get pressed? Do you have one that you want to get? You don't have to show it. Stop showing your books. Okay. You show enough books all the time. Every time I turn around, there's Reggie showing a book. Yeah, here's the book, So, but what's your next one that you would like to get pressed or graded?
Yeah. So I literally have a box that I keep behind me. And what I do is if I buy a book that I think might be worthy of getting slabs, I put it in this box and I kind of hold it until I'm in the mindset of sending them off and I have enough like kind books to send. And I am going to show some books because I think it illustrates my point. So I have been holding this book for a while. And I've been holding it because I knew that I wanted to send it in and get graded. This is Amazing Spider-Man #1. I just in case Bueller didn't know that one. But then I also
oh man,
I just picked
shots fired.
Yeah, I'm taking a couple of shots across the bow.
What's that? Devil Dare? I've never heard of Devil Dare before. I used to watch that TV show. Was that any good?
So I got this one the other day, and I knew that I was going to get this one. Then I picked up X-Men #2. And then I've also had this one for almost a year now, Iron Man #1. My thought was these are the next 4 books that I'm actually going to send in. And that's why last night I was actually sitting here keying them into CGC's system to see how much it was going to cost me. And it is expensive. It's expensive.
Reggie just showed some books that were like, no big deal. They're just sitting here on my desk. I don't know what they are,
But yeah, so I mean, but at the same time as I have these 4 books, I have boxes and boxes of books around me that I think are still great books that are protected in plastic, that are either in my lights or just regular plastic that I think still deserve protection. And in fact, I even have a whole series because someone asked me months ago, they were like, is every book that you have a grade or a key? And no, the vast majority of my collection is actually raw. And so I created this series called Random Run, where I just check out books from my collection that don't necessarily get the attention that maybe they deserve, right? Because they're awesome stories, awesome art, and I actually try to share those books from my collection because you also don't put them on the wall, so they don't get this kind of treatment,
I put them on the wall.
Like New Avengers, right? New Avengers is a great, great series. No one hangs New Avengers on the wall, but if you haven't read it, it's an awesome series.
I'm gonna hang up all my New Warriors on the wall. Just 50 centers everyone loves 50 centers, man. Just put all New Warriors and Power Pack, a wall Power Pack and New Warriors, and that's it.
I got a half short box over here of New Warriors and Guardians of the Galaxy from.
I saw your New Warriors run. That's why I brought that up.
They're all great reads, man. Except for this. I went back and reread this the other day.
That's not a great read.
It is not a great read, and the art is not that good. It's really not.
He's gotten better over the years. Let's just say that.
Yes, he has.
So anyway, you know what? I think we should wrap it up a little bit. We've been going for about an hour and 10 minutes.
Wow.
But before we do, I want to just give you the floor and talk about, what you got coming up, and just remind people of Regie Simmons, IFBB. What's the IFBB stand for?
International Federation of Bodybuilders.
You want to say that one more time? I'm sorry.
International Federation of Bodybuilders.
And then there's a pro after that. What does that mean?
Oh, the pro is just
you're the pro. That's what it means. It means you're the pro.
Basically, the pro league. There's something called the NPC, which is the amateur league. You compete as an amateur in the NPC, and if you're lucky enough, you go to the pro league, which is the IFBB. That's what.
So I'm the IFBB spectator. So that would be Comics with Bueller, IFBB spectator. That's what I would be.
Thanos says the International Federation of Bad Boys.
That's pretty good. I like that one too. Anyway, Reggie, I'm going to give you the floor for a little bit. Kind of let people know what you got going on, if you got any new videos coming out or anything you want.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So first, I would say thank you for giving me the opportunity to come on the channel. I have been a huge fan of yours for a very long time, and it's nice to finally be able to join you here. You actually put me over the top with my 1,000 subscribers. You gave me a shout out in one of your videos, and I think I got like 200 subscribers like over the next 48 hours. It was incredible. So I'm very thankful for that. But I think I'm more thankful for just the friendship. that you and I share. I have an ability to reach out to you from time to time to ask you questions, and I appreciate that, right? Because I think that that's what this community is all about. It is all about being able to have a personal connection with people, sometimes using stolen internet to be able to establish that connection. But that's what makes this really cool. And I say this all the time. Comic book collecting can be extremely lonely,
Yep.
right? You can be in your little room or your little corner and you can read your comic books. But through what we do on Instagram and YouTube, you have the ability to connect with people that are as passionate as you are about this hobby. And maybe they're a DC guy versus you being a Marvel guy. Maybe they collect Golden Age versus Silver Age. Maybe you're a nut about modern age, but you still share the same passion. And I think that that's what makes this all really great. So my channel is Regie Collects. It is Regie Collects on Instagram. You can always find me there. It is Regie Simmons, IFBB Pro here on YouTube. And I release videos typically 4 to 5 times a week. I go live a couple of times a week as well. And as I mentioned earlier, I have a diverse offering on my channel. We look at things from
Tons of DC books, just so many DC books. No.
So we have a ton of diverse content within the spectrum of Marvel and no DC. But we talk about things like how to bag and board comics, insurance for comics, the comic book market. We talk about, random runs of comics. We do trivia night. We do a lot of different things on my channel. And that's because I try to be diverse. And I think many of the people that join my channel are also diverse. But I do content 4 or 5 times a week, always roughly around 3:30 in the afternoon Pacific time is when I release it. And we just try to have a lot of fun on my channel. We are all about positivity on the channel. And about having some fun and enjoying this hobby of comic book collecting. That's it.
So, there's a comment in here, and I'm hesitant about this comment. So this is from Nick Leslie. It said, show off that Eternals #3, Bueller. I don't really want to show it because Reggie's just going to break out his Eternals #1. And I know he will, because I know he's got it. But here's my #3, and then he's got a #1 sitting on the wall. So...
So here's the thing. What's crazy though is for me, like these comics are the experiences around the comics I think are just amazing, right? And I actually picked up a couple of Eternals books from a guy who was dying of terminal cancer, and so I have a set of his books behind me that I will probably have forever, just because I spent 2 hours with this guy. He's a former bodybuilder. He used to work out with Arnold and Franco Palumbo and was also a comic book guy, and it was just, I think...
Sounds like someone I know.
Brother. It was a really cool experience to hang out with this guy. He didn't have #1, but I did pick up a #3 from him along with a couple of others. So
that's cool. Well, I want to say thank you so much for coming aboard. I really appreciate it. I was really looking forward to having you on here. I wanted to cover this subject, and the first name that came into mind was yours, because I'm always staring at your wall behind you when you're doing your videos, and you're always showing off all the graded books that you get and stuff like that. But I want to kind of tell you guys what's going on. And so next week, I will be on White Whale's channel. We're going to be doing a review of Dead Man Logan. That is next week on Wednesday. And then my guest for next week on Friday is someone that you guys might be aware of. This will be my first time interacting with him. It's Simple Man Comics, and he does a great preview video just like myself. And his name is Brian from Simple Man Comics. He will be my guest next week. I'm very excited to get him on and kind of spend some time with him, because he doesn't do a lot of live streams. He does his weekly videos and stuff like that. But we're going to kind of compare, our 2 videos they're very similar, but they're different in their own way. So it'll be a lot of fun. And next Friday at 5:30, it'll be Bueller and it'll be Brian from Simple Man Comics together at last. So that'll be cool. But I want to say thank you again, Regie, and thank you to everybody in the chat. Thank you for the super chat donations. Thank you for the internet fund, which is pretty cool. If you haven't hit that like button, I always forget to tell people to hit that like button. I always forget it, but go ahead and hit that like button. Let's see if we can get at least 4 likes on this video. That's our goal. 4 likes. That's all we need. And my daughter just jumped in here, Regie, Paige Noakes. She's in here. And, she's got her first fitness competition in March.
Yeah, man. That's good.
And I don't know if you've seen some of her things on Instagram lately, but she's killing it, man. She's going gung ho. So it's pretty cool.
It's been exciting to watch her progress towards stepping on stage. It is such an amazing experience. Paige, I wish you luck. And if you need anything, just let me know.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I want to say thank you again. And everybody can follow us on our channels. And we both do Instagram. Yours is at Regie Collects. And mine is at Comics with Bueller. Same as the YouTube channel. Big surprise. So follow us on Instagram. And thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Don't forget to like, subscribe. You guys know what to do. We'll see you next time. Bye.